These are the assembly instructions for the fast version of my back to school card. I have two files for this card. The other version of this card takes a little bit longer to assemble because instead of these print and cut images, I have the different layers that you can either cut out of cardstock or, in the example that I did, out of vinyl. So if you were assembling that version, you would apply the cardstock or the vinyl to a black base. For this one, I've gone the easy route and I have flattened all the images and just done a print and cut. And instead of doing the cross stitch on the cover, I just did a print and cut that looks like a piece of lined paper. I'm going to start with the interior of the card. The base of my card is cut out of 110-pound cardstock with a score line in the center. I folded on the score line. And then I have two panels, one for the left side with a little notch out of it, and one for the right side. I'm putting glue on the underside of my panels and gluing them down to my card base, trying to maintain an even border all the way around. Next, I have all the print and cut images for the inside of my card. I have a black base to glue them onto just to make them a little bit sturdier. And I'm putting glue on the underside of my print and cut images and just gluing them to their base. And I'm going to do that for all of these images. So next I'm moving on to the container that's holding my school supplies. I've already put my holographic sparkle vinyl, that full rectangle of my piece. I've folded this strip underneath it like so, and I folded down on the score lines for those 3 tabs. So next I'm placing my piece so that it's almost right up against the edge of my card and just at the edge of my layer panels on the pale blue rectangle. So next I'm putting glue from the score line to the end on that middle tab. I'm holding my panel in place and folding my card closed. I'm applying a little bit of pressure where that tab is, and I'm just waiting for that glue to take. So next I have this small thin strip. I'm putting glue on both ends, so there's a score line there, so you want to put it from the score line to the end of the piece like so. I've got my card open and I've got this piece as straight as it can be, so this piece is parallel to the edge of my card, and so with the glue down I'm just placing my strip so that it's centered over my dark blue panel. Actually, I want it a little bit closer, approximately there. There's about 1/8 of an inch between the edge of my pale blue piece and the larger part of that dark blue rectangle. So next I'm putting glue on both of those tabs and I'm carefully folding them under, and then I'm closing my card and letting it fall. I'm kind of pushing those tabs under as I'm closing that card, and then I'm pushing down on where those tabs are. So then when you open the card, it makes that panel bow. So those 2 tabs on either side are glued onto the panel where it would just naturally lay flat when your card is closed. So next I have my pencils and my pens and my scissors and crayons. So this one I'm going to save for that panel. So I'm taking a black Sharpie and I'm just running it along the edge of this piece. Those white edges of my print and cut are showing. So for the longer ones, I'm slipping them underneath my mechanism. So I've got that dark blue band. So I'm slipping my pieces underneath there. And I'm just putting glue underneath them. I'm just positioning my pieces and just gluing them down. This part is just up to you. I'm going to take the scissors and glue them onto that front here. So I'm putting glue just along the bottom of my scissors. And I want to make sure that when my card is closed, my scissors are within the edges of my card. And don't get any glue on the mechanism itself, because then it will not work anymore. So I'm just going to glue down the rest of my images. So now with my card open, I'm going to glue down my sentiment. I've used print and cut for my sentiment too, and I'm just gluing it down to a base layer and then gluing my base layer down to my card. I kept one of my pens to add to that side of my card, gluing that down. And so next I'm going to work on the front of the card. So I have my sentiment. I'm putting glue on the back of my sentiment and then gluing it to an offset for my print and cut sentiment. And I think I'm going to pop this up. I'm going to use some foam tape, putting foam tape on the back of my image. I use parchment paper to trim my foam tape because it reduces the amount of sticky residue that's left on my scissors. I'm putting glue on the underside of my print and cut lined paper. Just gluing it, trying to center it as best I can on the red panel. Then I'm taking the liner off my foam tape. I'm just going to glue that approximately here. And then I'm gluing the panel to the front of my card. And then I have another red panel to glue to the back of my card. And so there you have it, the simplified version of my back to school pop-up card.